Hi, this is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Maoist Third Worldist Collective. I wanted to discuss something based upon a series of back and forth discussions between myself and someone else on YouTube. If you've been following my videos, you may have seen it. I don't know who the person is, and so I can't really identify the person other than by looking at the person's username. If that person wants to come forward and say who she or he is, that's that person's business. But I feel as though I should discuss some of the points that have been raised in the course of this conversation. Main thing is, what is a revolutionary? And second point is, am I a revolutionary? Well, I think it depends upon what one means by that. You know, what if I say that I am a revolutionary, what am I doing that justifies my being a revolutionary? Or if I say I'm a revolutionary, what does that say about what I believe about being a revolutionary? And so I think that's pretty much the line of demarcation. It's a question of differences between praxis and theory. Praxis being practice or theoretically based practice, and theory meaning explanation. Explanation for various things that we observe in the world around us. Both of those, theory and praxis, are important in the life of any Marxist. Doesn't matter whether it's a third world Marxist or a first world Marxist or any other kind of Marxist. Praxis and theory are basic to the notion of being a Marxist. When it comes to my belief system, of course, I am a revolutionary, meaning I believe in the importance of revolution. And I am hopeful, although not convinced, that there will be a revolution. Why am I not convinced? Because revolution is something which is a matter of structure and agency. Those are common terms that are used in my field of sociology, and especially in the meta-theoretical framework that I use called Bhaskarian critical realism. According to critical realism, there is a difference between structure and agency. Roy Bhaskar, the founder of critical realism, was at one time a structuration theorist. Structuration theory was started by a British fellow, a British sociologist named Anthony Giddens, who was also a member of the House of Lords. And he argued that structure and agency were essentially the same or were intertwined with one another. Roy Bhaskar and Margaret Archer, arguably the two major figures in the early days of critical realism, said no, structure and agency are not the same thing. Social structure refers to the various mechanisms, the causal mechanisms which exist around us, which influence us and which impact us, but they are not laws. Roy Bhaskar was very much opposed to the idea of laws because he said that what laws do is they deprive us of agency. Laws basically make us do certain things, theoretically, right? That's what a law would do. They would make us behave in a certain way. And Roy said that takes away agency. So instead, like many sociologists, not only Roy Bhaskar, he argued that a more correct term would be causal mechanisms. Causal mechanisms do not force us to do anything. They simply present us with the ability, or present us with a series uh, of of causes which allow us, or permit us to engage in certain acts, meaning to engage in agency. Okay, so from that standpoint, am I a revolutionary? Well, I guess the answer is yes and no. I am, in the sense that I believe that. I believe in the importance of revolution. Without revolution, there will be no more society. Capitalism is dying at, I believe, an increasingly rapid pace. And I don't think personally that capitalism has that much longer to go. That is one of the basic elements of the dialectic, that when the contradictions reach a certain point within the capitalist system, that capitalism itself will fall apart, will deteriorate. And I think that when we look around the world, we can see that deterioration happening very rapidly. Capitalism, in my view, does not have much more time. So, in that sense, am I a revolutionary? Yes, because I believe that revolution is necessary in order to move beyond the decline and the end of capitalism, and to create a new socialist or communist society. I think that ultimately we need revolution, revolution being, in a sense, the opposite of evolution, evolution being gradual change, and revolution being radical or rapid change. Revolution being much more intense, involving a greater amount of concentrated effort. Evolution, not so much. Evolution possibly lasting a very, very long time. We don't have a very, very long time. The world as we see it right now is disintegrating at such a rapid pace that if we are not prepared, I should say if the third world in particular is not prepared, then we will literally have nothing to replace capitalism. And that would truly be a disaster. Is that possible? Of course it's possible. There are no guarantees. We have no assurances that there will be a revolution, but we have the need for one. So again, I am a revolutionary in that I believe in the need for revolution. I believe that without a revolution, we will be stuck in the mud, and we may very well become an extinct species, so that the world itself ends up being the kingdom of cockroaches. Cockroaches have been here a lot longer than we have. I think they are a lot more resilient than us. I remember having had a cockroach infestation where I used to live in Kansas, and it took me forever to get rid of those darn little pests. Now, I did eventually, but only after a great deal of pain and suffering and a great deal of discomfort. I didn't know where they were. As it turned out, they were hiding in the overflow drain in my bathroom sink. So once I knew that, I found some tape, I put it on the overflow drain, and presto, cockroach epidemic over. Okay, so that was the ends of that problem that I had. Cockroaches are really resilient. They are really, really resilient creatures. And hopefully, they will not be the lone survivors of the ends of the capitalist world system. Now, could they be? Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Because again, revolution is not guaranteed. It must be worked for, again, by human agency. We are confronted by a series of causal mechanisms which permit us to have a revolution, but we are the ones who need to take the action. We are the ones who are required to take the necessary steps that will actually bring about a revolution. Nobody's going to do it for us. Certainly not cockroaches. Cockroaches, I think, would be a lot better off without us. They wouldn't have us stepping on them anymore. They wouldn't have us using pesticides like Raid or whatever, or various foggers on them. They'd be much better off without human beings. So cockroaches certainly have no vested interest in the continuation of the human species. We have a vested interest in the continuation of the human species. So no, there is no guarantee of revolution. So in that sense, I am not a revolutionary. Why? Simple. I'm not fighting a revolution. What am I doing? I'm making videos. I'm talking about revolution. But am I actually going out with a gun, with a rifle, and trying to bring about communism or socialism? No, that's obvious. All I'm doing is making podcasts. All I am doing is writing. All I am doing is talking. All I am doing is going outside with my various Maoist and third worldist and Marxist t-shirts and caps. I don't usually wear this one. This is an unusual one that I only wear when I make these podcasts. Usually I wear caps of various sorts, but caps that are designed to promote the idea of communism, to make people aware of it, so that every once in a while, although not as often as I would like, somebody will walk up to me and say, "What does that mean?" And then I will proceed to have a conversation with them. So I am certainly a supporter of the revolutionary process, but I'm not fighting a revolution. That's evident. That's self-evident. I hope that at some point somebody does, or people do, because that's our only alternative. We have no other alternative except revolution. No other alternative at all. Revolution or destruction. That's basically it. Revolution or barbarism, as Rosa Luxemburg said. Nothing else. Nothing else. So I'm not doing it. The third world is not doing it that much, but I sure hope they do eventually. In my view, if that eventuality ever happens, it will be after the first world is gone. Now, I could be wrong about that. Maybe the third world will succeed in starting a revolution sooner than later. But I just don't think, given my belief in Antonio Gramsci's cultural hegemony, meaning the power of the bourgeoisie to control public opinion through the media and using other mechanisms, the third world is essentially stifled. Anything that the third world tries to do is immediately stamped out by the first world. The first world in particular, the United States, for example, has been doing that in Latin America for decades. Think about how many times the US government attempted to kill Fidel Castro, fortunately failing each time. Fidel Castro was a great third world hero. Now, he is gone. Regrettably, Cuba seems to be reverting to a more capitalist type economy. I hope that does not happen. I hope that somebody rescues Cuba and prevents Cuba from becoming capitalistic, but it doesn't seem to be happening, which is really, really sad to me, considering all the work that Fidel put into Cuba to see all that work come to naught. So in the third world, yes, there can be active revolutionaries, or will at some time be active revolutionaries, meaning fighters, people fighting for revolution. We need that. Am I fighting for revolution? Not as far as I know. So again, in that sense, to repeat myself, I am not a revolutionary, but in the sense of believing in revolution, supporting revolution, believing in the absolute necessity of revolution, of course I am a revolutionary. You can't be a Marxist. You can't be a Maoist. You can't be a Maoist third worldist without being a revolutionary, without supporting revolution. So yes, again, theoretically, I am a revolutionary. In praxis, clearly I am not. I wish I were. I really, really wish I were. Now, am I in any physical shape to engage in revolutionary combat? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm an old man at 67 years old. I have osteoporosis, but maybe there are some things I can do. If there's revolution, I will do my best to contribute to it. But I don't think that will happen, at least not initially, in the first world. The first world is too mired in capitalism. So if there is a revolution, in the first world, I think it will have to await a revolution in the third world. And I'm not convinced that there will be a revolution in the first world. We may simply, in the first world, blow ourselves to smithereens, nuclear, biological, chemical weapons, NBC, not to be confused with the television and radio stations. So that's basically all I had to say, kind of to clarify a point, because I made the statement on YouTube that I am not a revolutionary. And what I meant by that is that I'm not fighting one. I feel as though I need to be honest. What am I doing? Nothing. Not really. I guess you could say making podcasts is a revolutionary action. And yeah, okay, it is. It is. Sure. It's better than doing nothing. But, I don't think that podcasts are going to bring about communism or socialism anywhere. Simply not going to happen. Capitalists have shown themselves to be very, very strong, very able to fight off all attempts to destroy them because they own the media. They control information. They are the global gatekeepers. So that's my take. Hopefully that clarifies what I was saying for anybody that might be confused. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Maoist Third Worldist Collective. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.